Johnson, good pass underneath, and the finish by Angel Reese, and she'll be going to the line.
A nice pass underneath, Joss, and Angel Reese's conclusion. She will also be heading to the queue. Angel Reese did not simply depart from Chicago. The league as a whole changed in real time once she left. Music. One of the best rebounders in the league, a two-time All-Star, was acquired for what appears to be a rebuild package. Future choices, not current talent. No bargaining struggle, no big comeback, just a quick decision, music that was carried out even more quickly. Snorts is greater than is greater than. After that, an even stranger thing occurred. Chicago ceased behaving like a franchise music that people shunned as soon as she left. Top talent and elite veterans began signing without hesitation in a matter of days. Azura Stevens, Rikuna Williams, Skylar Diggins, and Dejounai Carrington. Names that flood a rebuild rather than creep in. Therefore, the true question is not what Chicago gave up, but rather what everyone thought of Chicago when Angel Reese left. A performance by Angel Reese fell short. Angel Reese's numbers appear to be the cornerstone of something exceptional on paper. Middle Tennessee scored 14 points per game. They will try to score soon in transition if they are able to get stops. A nice pass underneath, Joss. And Angel Reese's conclusion.
Reese picks it off. It's her against no one and lays it in. She's got 12 points.
64 career games, with about 13 rebounds per game. In her first 2 seasons, she was selected as an All-Star twice. A rookie's record-breaking run of straight double-doubles earned her comparisons to some of the greatest big men in league history. During her 2 seasons in Chicago, she averaged 13.1 rebounds per game as a rookie and 12.6 per game in her second season, leading the entire WNBA in rebounding. You would assume Chicago had a franchise cornerstone if you just looked at the stat sheet, music. You would assume that victories were on the horizon. They never did. In Reese's first year, the Chicago Sky went 13 music and 27. Tori thinks it's wonderful that Reese is on the block attacking Alexander, turning, spinning, and squaring up. Then, in her second, they moved from 10 to 34, music. That is not a dip for rebuilding. Hold on, that isn't a young team just getting started. With the same focal point throughout, that franchise is headed in the wrong direction. 2 seasons with 23 victories and 61 defeats. No playoff trips, no significant advancement of any kind. As the team's star player, she scored a total of 23 and 61, which is only a 27% winning rate. Reese also picks up the rebounding figures. She lays it in with no one against her. She has 12 points.
And Hollywood's on the move. Angel Reese, offensive rebound, gets it to drop.
They merit a closer examination because they broke Sylvia Fowles' single-season music record and were featured in every highlight package. Because grabbing her own missed shots accounted for about 35% of Reese's music offensive rebounds in her freshman season, or roughly 53 out of 150. As a rookie, she shot 39.1% from music the field and less than 50% on shots within 3 feet of the basket. This is a startling statistic for a player who spends most of her time in the paint. She would miss a layup, catch her own miss again, and occasionally get that one as well. On the stat sheet, each of those grabbacks was worth the same as grabbing a contested defensive rebound against a physical music post player. She collected 4 offensive rebounds in a single possession against the New York Liberty in 2025, but she never music scored. 5 of her 7 rebounds came from her own missed layups, and she finished the first quarter of that game 0 for 5 from the field. Her effectiveness revealed the truth. A 42.1% career field goal percentage. Hollywood is also in motion. With an effective field goal percentage of 42.6%, a 3-point shooting percentage, music, of 18.4%, and in 2025, her turnover rate skyrocketed, music to 22.9%, from 13.1% as a rookie, averaging 4 turnovers per game, the second worst in the league, only surpassed by Caitlin Clark. However, Clark's offense was successful. For a squad that was already having trouble scoring, Reese's turnovers only resulted in fewer possessions. It was noticed by the front desk. Tyler Marsh, the head coach, noticed it. The teammates witnessed it. Reese's contributions improved the appearance of her stat sheet without improving the lives of others around her. And that's the kind of production that ensnares a franchise in a team sport. Someone who appears to be an all-star on paper cannot be traded without providing an explanation. Furthermore, you cannot assemble a successful squad around a player whose influence does not result in victory. Out of the post, Reese is an excellent passer. If you get her touches, they will look better. Williams is unable to complete. Reese does. For 2 whole years, Chicago was mired in that paradox. Music.
Reese is a very good passer out of the post. You're going to get better looks if you get her touches.
Williams can't finish. Reese does.
4 seconds to shoot here. Lloyd has to hurry. Sloot coaches the passing lane, goes up and puts it in.
As detrimental as the on-court events were, they weren't even the component that ultimately caused music to break things open. Because rebounding totals or shooting percentages music were never the full tale of Angel Reese in Chicago. It was about what was going on in the unobserved room. The room where the damage was silent, cumulative, and eventually irreparable. Courtney Vandersloot has spent years in Chicago developing her profession in the locker room of Angel Reese. Music. There, she took home titles. In that locker room, she deserved every bit of respect. A 2-time WNBA champion, Vandersloot is the kind of player who teammates will stop at nothing to support. Here, you have 4 seconds to shoot. Lloyd needs to move quickly. Sloot goes up and inserts it after coaching the passing lane. 2-time All-WNBA first-team pick and 5-time All-Star, he departed the championship-caliber New York Liberty to return and aid in the Sky's reconstruction. Additionally, Reese allegedly labeled Vandersloot old and washed up after she was injured. Not in a private discussion where music remained silent, in a manner that quickly returned to the team. How wonderfully that landed, you can only imagine. Reese went on record to tell reporters that the squad needed a younger musician with experience, someone who was willing to compete for a title and had done it previously, and that they could not rely on Courtney to return at her age. Given that Reese has never participated in a single postseason game, and Vandersloot is among the most successful winners in WNBA history, the absurdity of that statement is nearly intolerable. Not one. Camila Cardoso then left. It wasn't a minor argument or a stressful routine that everyone got over. A complete walkout when Reese was involved in a team crisis. Cardoso, a 7-foot center from South Carolina, who was viewed as the team's future, is the man Chicago was actually developing around. The other ongoing game is the Atlanta Dream. Cardoso pushes her way through. For the player they were building music, a whole system around. That is encouraging. She eventually reached a point where she was unwilling to remain in the room. That provides all the information you need to understand how poisonous the environment had become. Cardoso is not overly theatrical. She doesn't make scenes. She just engages in basketball. If she left, the situation had escalated beyond quiet management to the point where the entire organizational structure was a danger. It was nicely encapsulated in a game late in the 2025 music season.
Chicago leads the league in fouls per game. To Shields on a 3.
Cardoso was seen by television cameras physically moving between the New York Liberty's bench and the other team's bench during play, as if she intended to sit down music with them instead. Hold on, that was a player's low body language. Here comes the double. Cardoso. I located the Reese. Reese made a layup, who, as everyone on the internet witnessed in real time, had psychologically checked out of her own squad. The suspension followed. Reese was suspended by Chicago. and it is difficult for teams to get there. When the front desk has already attempted the more subdued options conversations, warnings, and interventions, they are suspended. It didn't stick. A team has become impatient with handling the matter by the time they suspend a player. Reese missed the Sky's last 4 games due to a back ailment, a separate league penalty music for accruing too many technical fouls, and the team's suspension. Her own teammates then made their music public. She was referred to as a locker room cancer. In professional athletics, that expression music doesn't surface unless the harm was severe. Since players automatically defend one another, when they violate that code and go on record, it indicates that the circumstances had an impact on their performance. Chicago leads the league in fouls per game, DeShields for 3. How they got ready and how they felt each day when they entered the building music. According to one commentator, Yahoo Sports published an article that did not hold back at all. According to reports, music could not tolerate her. Angel Reese's absence was causing backflips in the locker room. Reese's interview with the Chicago Tribune late in the 2025 season added fuel to a building that was already on fire. "I am not settling for the same stuff we did this music year," she replied. She subsequently apologized, but the damage was already done. "We have to get good players. We have to get great players. That is a non-negotiable for me." She had publicly criticized her coaching staff, front office, and then her own players. She hated herself for losing the exact individuals she wanted to re-establish trust music with. The front desk was watching the win totals decline while the locker room was disintegrating silently, and they were able to witness both music events simultaneously. Reese was producing, according to the stat sheet, but the team said she was a problem. Eventually, Chicago's front management concluded that these two truths could no longer coexist: music. The Chicago Sky made it official on the 6th of April, 2026, the first day of WNBA free agency. In exchange for 2 future first-round draft picks, Angel Reese was being music traded to the Atlanta Dream. Additionally, this is an extension of what we'll witness up here: Angel Reese bringing the ball up the floor in both the finish and the paint. Is greater than 2 first-round picks in 2027 and 2028, along with a 2028 second-round trade. In a well-crafted statement, Emma General Manager Jeff Pagliocca described music as a move intended to create roster balance that constituted a fantastic opportunity for all stakeholders. Music, equilibrium roster. That's front desk jargon, because this was the quickest method to get rid of her. For years, the general manager of Chicago has been lusting for Skylar Diggins. During his first off-season as general manager in 2024, he attempted to sign her back music, but was unsuccessful. He had a clear idea of the type of lineup he intended to assemble. He simply could not construct it under the existing circumstances. There was more to the trade. It was the clearing of a barrier that had stood in the way of everything else. Before her 3rd season, no player of Reese's purported caliber is traded for future picks is greater than, music is greater than, unless the team making the trade determines that the picks are worth more than she currently is. And that is a harsh statement about the music market value of a 2-time All-Star. When a star is grudgingly traded by a team due to financial constraints, fit issues, or other uncontrollable circumstances, the player is shopped for months. In exchange, they wait for a proven piece. They ensure that they receive the full value. None of that was done by music in Chicago. The Sky accepted Atlanta's draft capital without hesitation, even if it won't appear on a court for years. Additionally, she will be boxing out and protecting Reese. Once more, Carter is at the rack. Following the trade, Reese publicly expressed her feelings about her time with the Sky to the Chicago Tribune. "I am not settling for the same stuff we did this music year," she replied. The team heard, "We have to get good players, great players. That is a non-negotiable for me." After 2 years of defeats, they discreetly began compiling their own list of demands. Removing her turned out to be the non-negotiable. Then, something happened that, for fans of Angel Reese, made music, the entire scene, nearly unbearable to witness. An unidentified source close to the Chicago organization told reporters Music that the move had provided a great deal of comfort inside the locker room. While Reese welcomed her new chapter on social media, sharing photos with Music, a new hairstyle, and enjoying the Atlanta feel, Chicago was portrayed as an unattractive travel destination for a full 2 years. For as long as Reese was a member of the team, that storyline persisted. The moment she left, there was a strategic as well as emotional sense of relief. After months of wanting to make the calls, the front desk could now do so. Ricuna Williams received Reese's number 5 jersey from the Sky. Music just gave it to her. One of the funniest things to happen in this whole situation is that Reese's fans immediately went online and demanded that the number be retired. This is because jersey retirements are reserved for players who have given their teams music championships, deep playoff runs, or something worth preserving. They dumped it into Reese when his troops went Music 13-27. Angel Reese has an easy finish with Reese bodies inside. Then 10-34. Music retirement is not an option. The Sky did more than simply transfer Music away from Reese. Her name, her phone number, and the storyline around their franchise were all changed. They completed it so quickly that it didn't even feel like a change. It was akin to an exorcism. Chicago's sudden change. What followed happened so quickly that it was nearly uncomfortable. The Sky signed Skylar Diggins to a 2-year, $1.86 million contract just 1 week after dealing Reese. Diggins was raised 90 miles from Chicago in South Bend, Indiana. She won gold at the 2020 Tokyo Games, attended Notre Dame, led the Fighting Irish to 2 NCAA championships, and was named to the All-WNBA 6 times. She picked Chicago and is among the best point guards in league music history. Diggins is the type of player that raises everyone around her, according to head coach Tyler Marsh, who also added something that seemed targeted. Skylar has been around this league a long time to know the fake from the real. There is a reason she wanted to be here. Then Azura Stevens returned home. Stevens has lived in Los Angeles for the past 3 years after winning a championship with Chicago in 2021. Stevens, you have 3 seconds left. I understand. The following. Excellent. Where she finished second in the voting for Most Improved Player and averaged a career-high 12.8 points and 8 rebounds. She agreed to a 3-year contract with an annual salary of $1 million. And I am truly excited to be coming home, she replied. Dejounai Carrington signed a 1-year contract, saying, "This city means everything to me." In 2024, Carrington was named First-Team All-Defensive and Most Improved Player. His music two-way ability makes rival coaches nervous. The league was stunned when the Sky acquired Ricuna Williams from the Sparks without having to give up a first-round choice. Jackson is one of the most exciting young offensive talents in basketball and received MVP votes in 2025. Additionally, they acquired Washington's J.C. Sheldon, the 5th overall pick in the Music 2024 draft. Courtney Vandersloot and Music Rachel Banham were fired, while Gabriela Jaquez of UCLA was chosen with the 5th overall pick on draft night. After selecting Gabriela Jaquez of UCLA with the 5th choice in the WNBA draft, the Chicago Sky moved from having the worst 2-year record in the league to having a roster that several observers predicted would make the playoffs in just 10 days. It felt less like a rebuild and more like a franchise that had been holding its breath for 2 music years and had finally let go because of how drastic, thorough, and quick the change was. Diggins is making a point. Carrington securing the perimeter. Stevens stretched the ground. Jackson scores in ways that make room for other players. Cardoso serves as the center's anchor. Cardoso continues to roll. The first 10 of the sky. Diggins, Sheldon, Carrington, Jackson, and Cardoso, the starting five that emerged, are built on defense, adaptability, and players that improve those around them. If you are paying attention, the final detail is the one that hurts the deepest. Reese was replaced by 4 players from Chicago, all of whom performed better than she ever did. Players who were suddenly eager to attend took her place. Players who wouldn't even consider playing in Chicago for 2 years. The moment the locker room changed, the phone began to ring. It's not a coincidence. That is a verdict. And even after her departure, Reese, who was watching all of this from Atlanta, was unable to relate to Chicago's success as a free agent and acknowledged her own part in the city's prior failures. Even though she didn't, the rest of the league could easily see that pattern. During Music, her initial press conference, Diggins herself made a telling statement. I looked into the direction of the Chicago sky, talked to Tyler, talked to Jeff. I thought this was going to be a great fit for me, knowing the vision before a lot of people knew it. She was familiar with the idea. She was aware of it before it was made public, indicating that Chicago had been preparing this change for some time. All they had to do was get beyond the first obstacle. Reese Atlanta roster doubts Music. Reese was described by Atlanta as a dynamic talent whose competitiveness complemented their vision and a perfect fit. Her energy, toughness, and intuition would flourish in their system, according to head coach Carl Smesko, and the roster appears intriguing on paper. In the 2025 MVP voting, Ryan Howard came in 4th, Music. One of the league's top 2-way wings is Alisha Gray. The point is made by Tahina Paupau. Music appears to be a contender if you squint, but when free agency opened, this is what transpired. WNBA players were aware of what transpired in Chicago. Agents conversed with one another. Players texted each other. As usual, word spread throughout the league, and some players made the decision that they would prefer to sign with a team that wasn't centered around Reese. Locker room reputations operate in this manner. There isn't a formal statement or press release from Music. Instead, there is a quiet agreement that everyone is aware of, and no one, Music, speaks out loud until it's too late. Days after the Reese deal was completed, Brittney Griner, a crucial member of Atlanta's 2025 squad, departed for the Connecticut Sunday. After looking at the upcoming squad, this 2-time champion, league MVP, and one of the most decorated large ladies, Music, in basketball history, decided she would want to be somewhere else. Give that some time to settle. Griner did not quit because to financial difficulties, a change in coaching, or a familial circumstance. She left due to roster direction, and the signing of Angel Reese was the biggest shift in roster Music direction. When Reese saw that free agents were not leaping at the chance to join her in Atlanta, she reportedly became enraged. She was curious as to why the players weren't lining up. The solution was in front of her the entire time, so that query alone is illuminating. In the meanwhile, here is Atlanta's situation as of 2026. They won the top spot in the East after going 30-14 inches the 2025 regular season, but they were defeated by the Indiana Fever in the opening round. Not to a fully stocked Music Fever team, but to a short-handed Fever team that was playing without Caitlin Clark is greater than Clark. You get fantastic pace and great passes. I found Boston just right. Portions of their healthy roster, and they were eliminated anyway. Kelsey Mitchell and Aaliyah Boston both participated. No, but Indiana defeated Atlanta, despite having less players. The roster math is therefore not encouraging. Atlanta's 2026 squad is basically the same team Music that lost that series, but they substituted Reese, a player who has never participated in a postseason game, with Griner, a 2-time champion and league MVP. They exchanged a player whose teams went 13-27, then 10-34, for a player with 2 rings and a trophy cabinet full of hardware. This is being referred to as an upgrade. Think about what Indiana has now. In her first season, Caitlin Clark led the Fever to the playoffs, despite the team having the worst record in the league. There is more to Clark's music impact on a defense than just her personal goals. From a distance of 30 feet, she draws defenders out of position, allowing Boston to work in the post without a double team. She also allows Mitchell to run in transition, Shue, and Sophie Cunningham to grab the ball in space on the perimeter. Under Clark's leadership, the entire offense breathes differently. Since the foundation was already in place, Indiana did not require an off-season makeover. All they needed was another year of games together, another year of Clark getting to know the league and the league's inability to understand her. The Fever music had 2 more years to develop something that Atlanta and Chicago are only now beginning to catch up to, because Reese kept Chicago in reconstruction mode for 2 years. There is no narrowing of that gap. Atlanta's roster is unfillable. Chicago continues to sign celebrities. The player in charge of both issues is sitting in a new city and wondering why no one is picking up the phone. When Caitlin Clark arrived in Indiana, the Fever had the poorest record in the league. She worked with her teammates, not against them, to turn them into playoff winners in a single season. She improved the players in her immediate vicinity. She increased the franchise's appeal to free agents. She turned Indiana into a travel destination. That is what separates a star on the stat sheet from a guy who can change a franchise. And the difference between those 2 careers is not becoming smaller. With each offseason, it gets wider. Nevertheless, one question remains over the league, like a verdict that hasn't been formally read aloud, despite the roster being rebuilt and the narrative being changed. Because changes to franchises don't happen immediately. Cultures don't change after a single exchange. Furthermore, once established in a locker room, reputations tend to stick with individuals long after the news has moved on. Chicago might have made progress. Maybe Atlanta has moved on. However, the tension that initially caused all of this hasn't been resolved. It was recently reallocated. The real test is about to start. Was this the start of a plot that won't make sense until both teams play each other under duress with everything on the line? Or was it a clean break that allowed 2 teams to develop in different directions? When that time arrives, will we fully comprehend what Chicago music witnessed that led them to decide to start over, and what the rest of the league is still attempting to keep quiet? Stay locked with my channel, Simply Explained, for further WNBA updates.